Right, okay. Tell me, I know you hate it, but tell me what's good about it. Thanks for that. And
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
welcome everybody to another Outside Crowd podcast. Here today with the wonderful Ryan Murphy.
Yo, how you doing?
Not bad. And we're not here with the horrible Billy Gordon.
We're gonna have some fun today. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
We have to get a word in edgeways, don't we?
That's it. Yeah.
Over me,
Someone
me,
will
me.
be able to talk. So, yeah, Billy's, where's he gone? He's gone somewhere, Holland,
Gallivanting.
wherever, I don't know. He's out gallivanting. But today, on the world's greatest outdoor landscaping business podcast,
That's the one. I've called it.
I can't think there's many others like that, is there?
There's not. There's only us.
We're going to be talking about garden trends we love and trends we think will disappear. Because there's a number of things that keep popping up. Ryan will be able to talk about these quite extensively. So we're going to cover a few things and see whether we think these are, to stay or whether they're just current fads. So the first one we're going to have a look at is composite decking. What do you reckon, Ryan? What do you think? What is composite decking? What's it all about, as opposed to just timber decking?
So composite decking is a man-made material. It's a recycled material that they make up decking boards with in various fashions, various styles. You can get styles of timber, replicas of timber. You can also get replicas of slabs and different bits like that. So I mean, it has its place. It does have its place, but I think for me, as long as it's reasonably sourced and the composite it's a good product, sure, it does have a weighty price tag on it, especially to do it completely out of composite, all the posts and everything like that. So it's quite an expensive product, but for me, I like my natural stuff. So I'm always going to go for timber over the composite. But I understand the idea they've got and what they're trying to do with it.
So who are the big players in the composite decking market? And I suppose here we should give a big shout out for Jake
Fair, yeah,
Jake,
Jake, yeah.
he does some excellent stuff there.
Yeah.
So his favourite company is
Millboards.
Hey,
Yeah, that's it.
Millboard.
Millboard are up there.
So why are millboards so expensive? Or are they expensive? I'll probably answer my question.
Well,
but
they are.
They're probably the premium
That's
brand,
right.
aren't they?
That's
or regarded
right.
as.
You get what you pay. You get what you pay for. So it's the fact is that they're a top quality product. Out of all the ranges they do. They have extensive ranges. They do have. We've met those guys a few times at various shows and stuff, and we have fitted a few millboard decks, and the quality of the deck boards are they are good. They are good, and the thing is the attractiveness is that low maintenance, that long lifespan. You don't get the rot, you don't get the insects. It's that kind of. It will stay looking new, for longer because the UV won't change colour, and to go back to that maintenance. You're not having to oil or you're not having to paint your deck every few years. But my argument is if a good timber deck is put in properly, and it's the same with like sleeper walls. I always say, putting sleeper walls in. People say, I've had them in 10 years ago and they're already starting to rot, and it's like, well, okay, but the sleeper is on the face and retaining back the soil, but where's that DPM layer? Where's that the 50 millimeters of shingle that goes all the way down the back of that wall? And it's you're putting that product in a place where it's going to last the lifetime of the product. If you don't have the right tools in place, i.e. your decking is too close to the ground, you've got your joist. I've seen it before where people just dig a channel and put the joist in the ground. It's not going to work. You're going to introduce moisture, which it's going to halve the lifespan, if not more.
Is it harder to install?
When I say, I'd say yes. The reason being is because of all the precautions you should take with all the dust. Because remember, it's a man-made product, and you shouldn't be breathing that dust in. So, the setup of all the extractor systems and stuff you'd have on your tools, as well as the PPE you'd wear. And yeah, there's a. I wouldn't say it's interesting. I think six one, half dozen the other, because every screw still needs to be screwed in, regardless if it's timber or it's composite. So. But yeah, there's clip systems you can get, and depending on which one, I guess.
So how do you? I mean, obviously, I suppose going back a stage, decking. Do you find decking is becoming increasingly popular as a product generally?
Well,
either timber or composite. And then, do you think composite is the mainstay of the market now?
I'd say that. It'd be interesting to have a look at the statistics of that. In my experience, the composite is starting to take over the timber decking. But so this is the thing. So people, when they're going for a patio or an area, and they say, it'd be cheaper to do decking, because that's what it is. It's cheaper to do a timber deck. Used to be cheaper to do a timber deck than it was to do a patio. Now those prices of everything is fluctuating so much that. You look at a composite deck compared to a timber deck. Composite's going to be more expensive, but composite's either the same or if not more as a patio, depending on finish. So I feel that people are going towards doing a patio rather than the composite, because the prices are the same. You're getting a solid hard standing, at the back of your property without the void underneath that can potentially have rodents underneath. So there is a few things why people are. So
that's where Bill lives, is it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So, but I mean, because
the thing I always sort of find with timber ones, is they just go off and they look, after a while, they look great when they're first built, and then not long after you've had a winter, they look crap. They look, got algae on it, mold on it. And is that just a case that they just need to have better maintenance stuff?
That's right. I mean, that's it. I was only talking to someone the other day about this. For me, I'd always jet wash. I clean my patio before the winter. I clean my patio after the winter. So you're going into winter clean, you come out of winter clean, and then in the summer months, everything's dry and clean. It's a lot better off. So also, protecting the decking, when you put new decking in, sealing that decking with a wood sealer, that's going to help also keep that grime and grit off that. So yeah, I mean, there is more maintenance in it. But I'd say the same. As people say about patios, people say about porcelain. They say, oh, it's
We'll come on to that.
Oh, okay,
Don't go there yet.
Okay, so
your I suppose in terms of trends, so taking out your, I don't know, your subjective view, do you think composite will carry on as a trend in the industry, or do you find that it'll fade and be replaced by timber again?
I don't know, because I do think it had, there are a few attractive points to it. So, because there are so many attractive points to it, and I think, things like that can only get better. They don't build them like they used to. No, they make them better. So the composite, what they're going to be able to do with it, and, what we're going to be able to, things are going to progress and get better. So, no, I think I'd like to see timber come back a bit more, and I think it will. I do think the timber will come. I don't think composite's going to stop. I don't think growing, but I think the timber's going to come back in the fold as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I suppose the big thing is, I think people are always going to be, I don't know, I was going to say driven by cost, but then, not everyone. I think once you get to a certain level of, person with their, of wealth, I think obviously if they can afford, the quality, they'll go with composite. But I think probably for a lot of just the normal people, especially where everything's so tight nowadays, then they might be looking for more cost-effective solutions and also more natural solutions.
That's
which more environmentally friendly. But I mean, once again, it's like you've just got to maintain it. If there's a cost saving at the beginning, you've got to appreciate that the maintenance cost going forward is going to be probably more than a composite deck. And if they're done well, they can look good. On the other side, composite decks can look a bit plasticky.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. They've got great detail on them, but you know, it does look sometimes for me. I don't like that feeling, and I don't think that's something that I'd personally have in my garden as a composite deck. Just because there's not a composite that I've found and looked at. You know, if anyone else is out there thinking, no, this is the loveliest one I've laid and I think you'd like it, send it to me because I'd love to see, because all the ones I've had a look at, you know, the ones with the grains of the timber, I'm like, it's just not timber. Yeah. You know, it's just not timber, and I'd rather it not be. I'd rather it have a neat little pattern, something different that wasn't replicating a board that it's not.
So then,
yep.
Do you think, would you give, as a trend going forward, would you give composite decking a yay or a...
I'd say a yay. I would say a yay. Yeah,
I must admit, I think even though there's some drawbacks with it, it's a great product. There's some really good companies out there. So I think it will continue. I think you'll still carry on with. I think your composite will start taking a bit more of the market, but it will start to even up and balance out. And
I think so.
Stand around.
And I think it's not only that, with the fact it's a recycled material. Having that aspect of it. You know, there's some great cleanup jobs they're doing, and what the plastic that they're using is from these places, and it's really good what they're doing. So,
that's good news for Jake.
That's it, exactly.
And also for Mr. Millboard, if you want to come on and have a chat about it and tell us a bit more about the product, then come have a board. Chat. Tell us. We might be talking out of our backsides. We usually do.
Mostly.
So, right, okay, so that's composite. Right, what's the next one? Which one you started to talk about?
Oh, yes.
Grey porcelain paving. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a current trend? Is that going to go out of fashion? Are you going to look back in 20 years and go, oh God, that's so 2020?
Well, this is quite interesting. I think grey is still around. It is still around, but it's people are going for lighter greys now. So I mean, 2 years ago, yeah, exactly 2+ years ago as well. You know, I could guarantee the phone would ring, and I go, yeah. Do you want to do a patio? Yeah, and grey is it? And they'll go, yeah. How did you know? Yeah. You just know. Everyone was going for greys. So but you know, the lighter tones of grey are still coming out, and you know, people are starting to change with that, and you know, we do still lay a lot of grey material, and there's still a lot of grey material around because of that fad. But I think that, you know, the people are starting to go back into the natural colours of the sandstone, the camels. They do want that, you know.
And what about the actual porcelain porcelain slabs themselves?
Yeah.
How do you find those? Do you find, once again, they are going to be a bit more of a product of its time, or?
Well, it's so. I think that I go back to, you know, if things are done properly, if you lay it properly, you have your correct falls, you have your top quality grout with there, and you have everything sealed, you know, you do create a really nice contemporary finish. They do have their place. I'm a natural stone man, so you know, I would prefer natural stone all day long, you know, especially, you know, it's still a man-made product to the end of the day, and cutting's not as easy, and you know, when I say easy, we do them and we do them well, but there's a lot to your tiling, you know, effectively. So, you know, landscapers become laying slabs and flags I'm a tiler. So, and even now there's people that go to porcelain projects and, no, I don't do porcelain, because they, you know, haven't laid it before, and there's no margin for error, you know, they're a rectified slab. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see if porcelain continues as much as it is. I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of crap in the market. There is, you know, a lot of some porcelains and really poor porcelain out there that you see people select, and very hard to cut, you know, snapping the whole time, you know, and they're just not, you know. But if you do get some nice top quality ones that we always get, that, you know, working with those is a lot better, and you know, and the job does look, the job looks great. But I always remind people that, well, how many times do you clean your kitchen floor? And they go, oh, I clean the kitchen floor every day. I say, yeah. So what's the difference between that kitchen floor and the patio outside? Nothing. I was like, you know, you have to clean them the same, you know. So making sure that you've got the sealer on them, and making sure that, you know, any mess you do spill, you wipe up, gets cleaned off. Anytime there's leaves in the corner, because it, you know, as much as they are grit rated, you know, you start getting any algae that grows on top of them, you instantly change you instantly change the place to be clean to dirty. You look out the window in a garden, you see a natural stone patio, and you see all the leaves. The leaves have come across and they're across the garden. Nothing changes. Beautiful garden. You get a porcelain garden, leaves blow on the garden, it's now messy. Because it's like having leaves on the kitchen floor. You know, it does, so I think that you know, porcelain is, a lot of people are doing porcelain because they like that smooth finish. They they like that lower maintenance. But I don't know.
I suppose I wonder how much of this is like people get influenced so much by the sort of online designs and the pictures and the very much sort of modern contemporary look of certain houses, and people think it's because it's, you know, clean lines, contemporary look, it's going to be easy for maintenance. Well, that's not necessarily going to be the case. It usually looks like, when it's first installed, it always looks good, but you've then got to maintain it as well. And also you wonder just whether, you know, fashions change very quickly as well, and yeah, you just I do wonder whether it will just be seen very much as a, you know, you look back in 20 years and people say, oh yeah, that's a mid-20s garden, isn't it? You know, you can see they're all doing the same thing then.
Well, I think that, you know, with these extreme heats we're having, I think there's a lot of people that are laying, you know, they lay a lot of slabs. We go to jobs and they've laid a small bed of muck underneath. They've got a small amount of MOT underneath. It's just not big enough. It's not good enough for the weather we're having now. I mean, it's, you know, minimum 100 millimeters. That's of MOT. That's a minimum. Yeah, that's not, you know, that you don't have to stop there. So, you know, putting 150 mil in because of the extreme weathers we're having downpours like you wouldn't believe, and then suddenly the dryness it is now.
Yeah.
You know, I think if people are not laying porcelain correctly and on a base, you know, if you were laying tiles on inside, I understand that tiles inside are 10 millimeters and we're 20 millimeters, but still, if you're laying a tile inside, you're laying it on, you know, 150 plus of concrete that's been dried and cured for 6 months, then you're doing it with adhering it down. You know, there's, you know, tilers,
different base, isn't it?
But that's it. That's right. So I think there's going to be a lot of patios in 10 years that don't stand this test of time, and they're going to start going, and people are going to go, do you know what, I just don't want to deal with porcelain anymore because that one rocked, that one started, that one went, and people are just going to go, do you know what, I just don't want it. You know, just because of how it's been laid rather than the product itself.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I do wonder with this one. I just wonder whether so much of it seems to be a product of its time, and people have, you know, looked online, seen the pictures, and just thought, oh well, that'll look good, rather than necessarily getting it professionally designed and, you know, getting the installation done, but the actual design so that that product works well within the setting.
Yeah,
because you might find that a more natural product might be the one that actually works better for your type of house.
And the thing with that, I like that a lot, because you're working with the home, what doesn't move, the house. The house has been there. You work with that. You extend your personality inside to outside. You know, and sometimes it really kicks me when I go to a patio. You got a lovely cottage or a lovely house that just, you know, or a Victorian house. It's like, right, you know, you suit these bricks, this style, and suddenly you've got porcelain in the back, and you're like, where am I? Like, what? These are such different things. You know, such different things. It's a tough one to look at. You know.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, on that one. I think that's one of the things also which sort of makes it a benefit in having a professional designer coming round before. It'd be interesting to get a designer on here to ask these exactly the same questions and see where they go, because I must admit, you know, I'm no bloody design expert, and I'm certainly not at the cutting edge of any of this stuff, so to hear where the fashions and the trends are going from someone who really knows would be quite interesting. But I suppose if we then give our grey porcelain paving even a ding or a where would you put it in?
I'd say it's thumbs down. I think it's going to start going. I think it will start going the greys.
Yeah, in my view, it's a. Sorry, all those people who got it there, but what do we know? We know nothing.
Are nobodies.
So right, what's the next one I've got on my list here? The next, this is a good one. Artificial grass. Right. I know you love this. I know you've had this installed on your 6 acre mansion.
6 acre mansion.
So Right. Okay. Tell me. I know you hate it, but tell me what's good about it. Thanks for that. And
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
no, go on, because there are places for it. So
yeah,
what,
that's
so,
right. I mean, there was a. I always relate back to the one we did. I mean, probably the last one we did. You know, like I said, I only did one a year. I don't even think I think we've actually made the rule of not doing them at all, to be honest with you. But there was a property where it was constantly wet. Their young daughter, wanted to play outside. Couldn't. It was just constantly wet around the back. They're both teachers, you know, busy. Didn't need the hassle of being able to cut the grass. For me, and it was a small box garden. We're talking what 5 meters by 5 meters. You know, an area like that. As much as I'd love to put something in there, maybe a herb garden in the corner or something that introduces wildlife, or something to, something that's got microbes in.
yeah.
Those places like that. So it does benefit in those scenarios. If anyone was having it, I'd always like them to think about the bug life and think about, insect boxes and stuff, and having one corner that's natural that you bung everything into, every bug house you can buy, and have that one corner where it's like that. All right, I've got artificial grass, but I'm doing my bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, I must admit, I don't like it. I don't often like the look of it. It looks just doesn't. I don't like things that just look artificial.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Yeah,
I mean, there are some grasses, like there's the companies that are predominantly just do artificial grass. They would have options of pathways, that were short grass, then longer grass. But so they'd have detail in them, because I know what you mean. I think that if you get just the generic artificial grass, square box done, you look at it and go, oh. But there are, the ways to do it, like I said, having different pathways and longer grass, within the artificial.
Yeah.
It
makes it look a bit more.
There's a little bit to it,
But the thing also, there's a place, isn't there, for certain, with all these products. It's like, it's what's the best place that it's useful, because it's, say, like with artificial grass, where are you going to use it more likely? It might not be in domestic gardens. It might be more in things like sort of sports fields or things like that, which are going to help, clubs be able to use areas which are quite hard to maintain or to grow grass. So you've got a better surface there to play on, or whatever. Or like you say, in areas where grass is really hard to grow and it's problematic. I think it's more a case of trying to make and probably the companies are doing this anyways, is making that artificial grass more environmentally friendly, making it more, look better, making it less, plasticky and...
Yeah.
And once again, I'm no expert on this, and I probably need educating as well. But
I think that, like we were saying earlier about the composite, things are only going to get better. The artificial grass guys, guys and girls, they're going to be looking at innovation, how to change, how to adapt. So, and I know that there are companies doing this. They are, all the plastic is recycled. I do understand it, but the problem I have is what it's taking away. It's taking away that meter square of grass with bugs and everything. That's what we're removing, and what we're putting back is a place where that is not going to happen. So it's about making sure that we're replacing. I'd like to see that every bit of artificial grass that is sold square meterage, the company plants the same amount of trees.
Grass offsetting.
That's it. But something where it's like, look, we actually, every time you do this, we plant over there. Because having that, it's all plastic. All of it. It's all plastic.
Yeah. I wonder whether they ever think about bringing in planning laws to sort of control the amount of things like artificial grass or not. I mean, that sounds a bit draconian to me, but you just wonder whether at any point. And also, it's, it would be good, once again, to have an artificial grass company on the podcast, because I'd love to hear more about what's actually going on in that industry.
Yep.
Because, once again, I don't really like I'm giving an opinion here, and my opinion is as crap as everybody else's. But to actually hear what's going on, when it can be used, what's actually happening to help the environment with those types of products, that would be really interesting. And it will educate me, everyone else, a little bit more about why and when is the best place to actually use it. And because I don't like giving an opinion when I know jack shit, and trouble is most of the time I do know jack shit. So
yeah, man.
But But yeah, so do you think it will carry on? There'll continue to be a strong market for it?
I don't know if there's going to be a stronger market than there is now. I don't think so. You know, that's per se. I don't think that it's something that, you know, we'll be using in those scenarios where you have to. But I think that, you know, people want lower maintenance. They're going to go for more of a wild seed meadow. You know, let the grass grow, let it do its thing. You know, because it's just more of a natural look. And I think that I like to think with this world that we live in, that we are all thinking about what we should be using, where we should be using it. So I do feel there's a lot of people that are green thumbed and, you know, want to go, right, let's, you know, let's, you know, yes, we want low maintenance, but for goodness sake, it's a garden.
Yeah.
You know, let's have grass in it.
Grass,
there
okay.
are other ways of doing it. So I think, I don't know if it's going to be as popular as it has been.
Yeah, I'd be interested. Yeah, my thoughts, and once again, it's my uneducated thoughts on, but I'd be thinking that unless there's some real sort of trends in it, which would be nice to hear from the companies, I can't see it as much of a growing market. I don't know. Maybe not necessarily in this country.
I
It
was
might
just about
work
to say.
in other countries
I was just
abroad.
about
It
to
might be
say.
a better product.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to be educated more on it.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, personally, at the moment, if I have to give it either a ding or a, I'll be giving it a.
Yeah.
But hopefully, it would be great if someone could come on
Yeah.
and talk to us about it. And,
Or even
and give us
even
some
as someone
more-
who installs it themselves,
Yeah,
there's a company out
definitely.
there who installs it.
Definitely.
I know there are companies. I don't know if they're around here. I can't remember the name of. I saw one of their vans. I'll tell you what, wasn't it a van that had? I think it's a van that has all the artificial grass stuck to it. I swear I saw that. It had the whole thing is completely artificial grass the whole way. Little window wipers, and I was like, look, hey, that's quite cool.
Excellent. Right, we have got. Hopefully, we might have time to get a couple of these ones in. Okay, let's move on to this one at the end, which you sort of briefly touched on there. Right, wildlife-friendly gardens. Are people moving away from perfectly manicured gardens, and is this just going to once again be a bit of a trend for the current mid-20s?
I think that the manicured garden with the lovely edges and with, you know, nice trimmed edges, grass down to, you know, bowling pitch, and, you know, the just the geraniums throughout the whole place, you know, the one single colour, you know, that style of garden. There are still a few, but they're not as many. Like people are having more vibrant beds. They are having lots of different plants in the beds, which is great. And that meadow grass there's a lot of people doing it, which is great to see, because it, you know, creating that habitat, as well as having something you can look on. If you had just long, tall grass, everyone would come around and be like, get your mower out. You know, you have that wildflower seed, it just blows your mind when you're looking across thinking, that's in my garden. You know, the butterflies, everything floating away from you, like that is, you know, I'll tell you what, anyone who's having a bad day, go find some wild meadow and sit in the middle of it. And just sit, because it is. And having that in your garden, you know, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I remember once, and as a shout out, I played golf at Lamberhurst Golf Club a few times, and I know they have an area where they have like this. It's just grown as a wildflower garden, and it looks absolutely superb. But the big issue with that, to me, is
Can't find the ball.
Yeah, can't find the ball. Never find the bloody golf ball. It's trying to, you know, you can't recreate something like that, and it doesn't suit certain types of garden. So, like, if you've got a little sort of smaller size garden at the back, having that sort of trying to have a wild meadow at the back ain't going to work, is it? I mean, maybe there's ways and means of doing it, but obviously it lends itself, I would have thought, to slightly larger country style gardens.
Yeah.
But surely that's where the creative side of the designer comes in.
And that's it. I was going to say, like, you know, when I was talking earlier about having the, you know, the bug boxes and bug houses, or a feature in the garden. You know, you have a small, long garden. On the both right hand and left hand corners, you put a half round bit of steel in the corner. You know, and it comes out for maybe 2 meters or so, 1.5 meters if there is that much, or even 700 mil, and you just put wildflower seed meadow in that seed in that, and just watch it just grow up in the corners, create some interest, some colour, and then having something in the centre of it with like a gnome, you know, and that's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like
but what gets me is when I plant my bloody wildflowers, even then they don't bloody grow.
they do.
They
if you do it
don't. I tell
properly.
you, I put a load out. I made a little bed round one of our tree shrub things out the front, and I sprinkled the wildflowers in it. Have they come up? Nothing.
Well,
And it's
let
like,
me
get the
see what you're
weeds
doing.
come
Let
up.
me see what you're doing. What are you putting on it? You know what I mean, let me read the package. You're probably not. I mean, what's these Cheerios? These Cheerios aren't doing much.
Yeah, cornflakes. Where they grow? Yeah, but I mean, I really like them. But the other thing is, I really do like a manicured lawn. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be all of it. I mean, we got a little sort of patch out the front here, and it's like to have that as like my Augusta green lawn would be absolutely superb. But it just takes so much work to do it, doesn't it? So I mean, it's like having that sort of compromise where you can have something that's going to be a bit, bit easier to maintain, but still look nice.
So,
but I do like a lovely manicured lawn.
So if someone's got tiers in their garden where you've got a flat lawn at the top, it drops down onto another tier, and then say down again. Just for example, everyone would mow those whole bits and have that rolling mowing thing. It's like that does look nice, but you half the mowing time by putting wild meadow on the banks. And then you can mow each section. So straight away, you've identified 3 sections and not one big bit of grass, and it splits it up, and you're able to leave that bit, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, no, I must. We've got a little bit of bank in the garden out the back, and we've got some daffodils and things grow along the bank, which is quite nice. But it's yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want perfectly manicured lawn on all of it. I think once again, this is where I think the benefit of having a really good garden designer comes in, because they can take even the smallest area and make you good. Because I'm still thinking about like Hopkins and Nash. There we are. Bless you guys.
Yeah.
And the garden, the design they did for you, the show garden at Corkers. It's only a small area. And also shout out to all the other show gardens there, because once again, the designers have taken a small area and shown what you can do within it. And sometimes I think when people are coming to you and to various other landscapers and saying, can we have something done, they're missing a trick, because spending a bit on a designer just to make the most of that space. I mean, Hopkins and Nash, what they did on your was beautiful.
That Dutch thing,
and they were all beautiful, those gardens.
No, they all. And it's funny. I was actually with the clients today, and I was walking around, and I showed the clients all the different. You've got. You got Lawrence Martin. He is his garden looks great. It's really matured now, and he's got the levels that go into his garden as well. And then you've got George Sykes from Garden Proud. He's done a really lovely Moroccan themed style garden. I took the clients into there, and I was like, there's a lovely little space in here. What they've done with it, really done a good job. You got Jack Kent next to us, our neighbour. Hello, Jack. He's our neighbour at Corkers, and he's built a beautiful garden. Really, again with the levels, it drops down, it drops up. He's got a little play area for the kids that go in, climb through.
Yeah, that was Camellia Taylor.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
Lovely
Exactly.
garden.
And Camellia Taylor, fantastic work, and from
I'm just trying to think. There's not much, although we got some great gardens, there's not much use of wildflowers in any of those, is there?
Well, there is. There are areas that have a lot, lots of planting in that can be left and easily managed. A lot of the gardens are like that due to where they are. But yeah, I mean, there's flower meadow grass in each of the sections between the porcelain.
Yeah.
So they have.
So there is some areas in there,
absolutely. So you can see all different types.
So do you think that the use of that sort of wildflowers and more natural gardens will continue? Do you think that's is that a mid-20s trend, or will that continue? Do you think?
I think it's been. We've come away from that style of the garden a little bit. Like those places that have to have like the cottage feel, they've always gone for them. I think that more and more we're going to see more of a messier laid out garden. That way.
I must admit, I just came to me like a practical thing as well as thinking, because a lot of these are like wildflowers. Wildflowers generally will grow in places which are harder, soils are a bit worse. So. Yeah. it's going to be easier to maintain, and also I imagine that there's less maintenance, less water usage as well for things like that as well. So that's obviously going to be environmentally good. So, I mean, for, what do you reckon? Is that a ding or is that a?
That's a ding. Definitely
That's a ding. I reckon that's a ding.
That's a ding ding.
Get the vibrato in there. Yeah, no, I think you. Yeah, I agree with you there on that one. I think there's some great stuff. Right. Okay, that's good. That's a good little chat.
Yeah.
But how are things generally going? Busy?
Tough.
Tough?
Yeah, it is.
Hot weather?
Yeah, it's hot weather. Tough in this hot weather. But overall, we're getting there. It's the work is picking up a wee bit. It has been quiet this year, but we're sticking in there. We're hanging in there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I know. I think Bill's had a bit of a quiet patch. I think he's finding exactly the same. Things are picking up again. So
Yeah.
all you people out there, remember your good landscapers and designers and tree surgeons. They work bloody hard in this weather. So yeah, if you need anything, get in touch with any of them. They're all good people. They work bloody hard.
That's it.
And also, thank you everyone for listening to the podcast. If people want to come on, especially some of the companies who we've maybe mentioned and maybe probably not given a balanced discussion about, come in and tell us about your product, because we always want to hear about innovative products, all these types of stuff. So come on and have a chat. We're great to have you, and thank you everyone around the world who's listening to the world's greatest landscaping, tree surgery, business, crap talking podcast. So from Ryan,
See you next time, team.
great stuff. We'll see you next time on another Outside Crowd podcast.